Things used to be better in the old days. I had my agent on the phone. What's that smell? This is weird. Like, it's not unused, but used? I don't know what this place is. What are we doing here? Oh my God, what is that? Is it formaldehyde? This button does.
I'm gonna need to borrow your soul real quick, kid. Is that all right?
2 hours later.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests as individuals and do not necessarily reflect those of advertisers or sponsors. This show is intended as entertainment and commentary only. The producers strive for verisimilitude, but nothing said on this podcast should be taken as fact by the listener or viewer without performing due diligence. While generally considered safe for work by way of content, some language may be considered offensive by more sensitive viewers or listeners.
Existence, the physical universe, is basically playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination that it ought to arrive at.
This is Keep Your Hat On, a show by 3 nerdy nobodies and 1 nerdy kinda a somebody about nothing in particular. Keep Your Hat On is brought to you by the Narrowband Broadcast Network, NBBN. The focus is on you. By Andrew Scott Media, making your media matter. And by the kind support of KYHO fans everywhere via Patreon. Patreon. Create on your own terms. Coming up next, we're all anger and spite on this episode, I guess. I don't know, new here. Anyway, Andrew is busy yelling at the clouds. Ty is grumpy about, I don't know, something. Dr. Mark is cranky about not getting to say a damn thing. Wait, you guys have a legit doctor? I got this thing growing on my... Anyway. And Chris is angry at... Spam. The electronic kind, I'm assuming. Stuff in a can is my life. Anyway, I guess I'm your disembodied announcer, Ra La Fondue. And, let's get whatever the hell this is started. Here are your hosts, Andrew, Robert, Dr. Mark, and he'll whinge no wine before it's time, Chapeau La Chris.
All right, so 3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Keep Your Hat on the show where hell even we don't know where we're going to go. I, of course, am Andrew Scott, along, of course, with Ty Robert Anthony, and, of course, Christopher Vacano, and, of course, the horse of a different color, Dr. Mark Peterson. How you doing, guys? Oh, nice. Oh, boy, that's reaching back a little bit.
I'm there. Yeah.
That was 6 o'clock a.m. for me on
TV
WM.
Land?
Yeah, no.
Oh, one of the UHF stations back
Yeah,
then.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't do TV Land. That's after me.
After
Those
you.
were for
What
the
is
What is
kids.
UHF?
You're right. Oh,
Yes.
come on. I'm throwing in a great clip of Weird Al Yankovic right now. Well, folks, we're coming to you pretty much with nothing but anger and spite today. And, you know, anger and spite, you got to get it out, right? Venom? There you go, Venom.
Yeah.
Hey, can you turn your music down, please? Because I'm having a really hard time.
Whatever. Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, I'll just turn right down.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen him 3 times.
Yeah,
I
Eddie.
think. But that's Iron Maiden. Which I've seen way more. I mean, this left ear, the ringing in this left ear is caused by Maiden. Well, anyways, we're just here to complain today. This is the complaint department is open. We had a good show last time. Oh, by the way, we are very thankful to our Patreon supporters, and I need to make a shout out to them today.
Yes,
Thank you, cousin Michelle. Thank you, my good friend Liam. And also thank you to our number one fan, Jason. Everybody say hi to Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hey,
How you doing, buddy?
We love you, bro.
Thank you guys all for your support. We really appreciate it. But today we are really kind of just focusing on gripes, grievances, and stuff that's been grinding our gears.
You know what really grinds my gears? Nobody's come up with a new priest and a rabbi joke in like 30 years.
That's what's grinding our gears, is the fact that we've got gears to grind. We're just going to have a little bit of fun. I personally believe that getting your gripes out instead of constantly holding them in, trying to be some kind of cooler or above it all, kind of, get it out. Get it out.
No, much better.
So I'm going to throw the floor open. Who's got a gripe first, and what are we griping about?
Oh.
Ty, quick to respond.
Yeah, well, that's because I'm right in front of my chief gripe.
Your chief gripe is?
And it's not you guys.
Oh, okay? Thank you very much. I was just going to say.
Thank you. Good.
Right. Cheers to you too, buddy.
So I work on double monitors, and I've got them set side by side.
Yeah.
It's a dream. Some of the pixels on the lower right of one of the monitors is
you're getting pixel loss. Yeah.
And which means I'm going to have to get
functioning? Are they functioning at all, or are they just dim?
No, it's just it's just that corner. It's just that corner of that particular monitor.
Now wait, this isn't your new. Did you get new monitors when you got your new computer?
No.
Okay, so these things are probably lifing out at this point.
I would say so. They're Asus, and they've been just really stout, nice monitors. But I've had them for a while, and I guess it's time for them to go bad. But they just don't make them like they used to. I mean, it used to be that when the monitors went bad, they would just die, right?
I remember
they would become huge paperweights.
I remember the first monitor I ever bought weighed 45 pounds.
Sure.
So the question I have is which, in your opinion, which is better? The slow death monitor fail or the abrupt I'm done?
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Oh, I'll take a slow death and know that it's something that I need to budget for in the next month or so, versus the, oh my God, I can't, the left hand of my life is gone, I'll take that. And I'm not a good example of buying new anything. I always try to find something used before I do. I know you do. And you've benefited from that a few times.
I cannot complain.
Your air conditioner is
and a almost usable spare tire.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, that was you and another Russian guy out of the back of a car, right? Wasn't it?
No, you found me that ad. You found me the ad. It was it's very good tire. It was a great tire. It was brand new. The problem was it wasn't the right size.
Sorry, I thought it was. It looked like all the numbers matched up, and at that point, I handed you off to Mikhail, whoever he was, whatever, and felt that my work here is done, kind of thing. Didn't do any other due diligence because it's not my ride. Not that I wanted you limping around on some bad skin or anything, but the next thing,
it worked for the day that it needed to work. And it limped me in.
That's just it. I felt bad because my next text from you, which I saw a text from you come up, and I was like, oh, this is going to be some kind of nice score. Way to go. Thank you so much, buddy. And it was, fucker's the wrong size.
Well, that's because I was...
who did that?
I'm on the shoulder. Yeah, I'm on the shoulder of the freeway trying to change a tire. Very busy freeway. Terwilliger curves, by the way.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was a really strong, cold splash of water when I got the spare tire out. I got
Not
the tire
refreshing
off.
splash of water, more
And
like a shock to the system.
Like Antarctica, freaking cold.
Oops.
And I roll the tire out and I go, one of these things does not look like the other.
There you go. We always fall back to the most important lessons of our life, and that most certainly is
Sesame Street.
God, yeah. So much learned. So much that I still retain. But at least you got home, and now you're to a point where you can't drive. Which is... Well, I'm saying that in a commiseratory way, not in a needling you way.
I know you're not.
Right now,
but right now, you're the one that's, coming
in front of you.
Me up.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, that's all good. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to jump back in with more complaining. It's going to be a slightly short show, but you know what? You people have earned a short show from
Let
us.
me just get started.
And with that, we'll be back in just a second. On the other side, we'll feature a very grumpy professor.
I'm practicing my curmudgeon.
There you go. You've been practicing that for a while, brother. We'll see you in just a second. Don't go anywhere. Bye. Out. And suddenly we're back on Keep Your Hat On, and this is the show where we do nothing but complain at you. I would say complain to you, but we don't expect any results from this complaint.
There goes our viewership right there.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say we're going to be down to 12.
Our friends in India, what are they supposed to do?
I haven't checked.
I was thinking Andy's cousin.
Checked into India lately. Yeah, we got to see if maybe our representation has slipped.
Even if it hasn't, my gripe today is gonna absolutely kill it dead.
Well, here we go. Go ahead, Chris. The floor is yours. Then we'll save Dr. Mark for the penultimate complaint, I suppose.
So I'm gonna channel my inner Andy Rooney here, and the problem with email.
My God, I was just thinking of him the other day. Go on. Do you ever wonder why?
Is it weird to say I miss him? Is it weird to say that?
No, not at all. He was awesome.
Thank you for the validation.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved Andy Rooney. He was the only reason I ever watched 60 Minutes.
Carry on, Chris.
Honestly. My gripe that grinds my gears lately, and it's been this slow boil thing for me, is... I manage a lot of websites, and so I get a lot of email, just because I'm sort of a spam target. And they come through registered domains and website and all of this sort of thing. And I keep getting these emails lately that say, hey, I took a look at your website, and I think it could benefit from better design and better SEO. And it's like, did you really look at my website? Because I'm a website designer. You are trying to sell to me what I do for other people. And it drives me nuts. And I want to, part of me wants to email these people back and be like, you didn't look at my website.
So is your complaint more... What's your complaint? Is the complaint that you get these like a fire hose, or is it that they assume a personal connection that you have not had yet?
Well, it's that they're not even checking their email lists. They're just going out and hoovering up addresses and not even making half an effort at due diligence. And it's like, and part of it too is just spam as a practice. I mean, especially for selling business services.
Big business.
They are just doing numbers, man. They go, and we send out 30 emails in a day from our scrape list, and if 0.5% responds, we can keep our lights on.
I get that. I understand it's a game of numbers, and the automation makes it easy for them to send out thousands upon thousands of those. And there's another layer to it, though, which is LinkedIn spam. And full disclosure, I dabbled with this myself in its infancy, and I figured out very fast it didn't work, and I was just irritating people, and so I stopped.
Right.
But it's like, and they hide behind this notion that if you're on LinkedIn, you have effectively opted in for their communications.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's always been a gripe
that.
of mine, is the assumption of opting in. And I, generally speaking, I stuck with companies who assume an opt-out and a buy-in. That you're totally right.
That always makes you feel better. Right.
Well, it just makes you feel like your bandwidth is being, and I mean this bandwidth, not the pipe coming in, but it just makes it feel like your bandwidth is being respected as default. I would always rather default to respecting somebody, and if they want more, then be willing to give it to them. You know, like with my voiceover coaching business, I don't assume somebody wants to hear with me. You know, and every once in a while, and it's been very, very infrequent, I'll send out a blanket message to all the people in my list. And normally it's been when I'm running a promotion or something like that. And I always say, if you want to opt out of this, if you don't ever want to hear from me again, just hit the link down at the bottom of the email and I will take you off the list as soon as I see it. You know, I mean, that's simple.
Well, and that's the way I counsel my clients. You know, I manage a lot of direct marketing email lists, and I counsel them that, look, you know, don't come to me with a list that you bought from somebody. I won't load it up for you.
Yeah, because it's probably been gotten by ill means.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And not only that, but the reputable B2B email platforms and B2C email platforms, they won't let you do it. If they catch you doing it, they'll kick you off the platform.
Yeah, exactly.
So Chris, I feel your frustration, but I just read something this morning that is going to that is ramping up the game of our unsolicited things that come our way, be it voicemail, be it email, that stuff. And this is going to feed Andy's monkey. This woman got a call saying that her child had been abducted, and it was her child's voice.
I sent this out to all you guys. I sent this to you guys, and I sent it to Dr. Mark.
Oh, I was kind of finding it out on my own. So imagine a call like that.
Yeah, exactly. So for Dr. Mark, to get you up to speed, and for those of you who don't know, one of my major grinds lately in my other life, when I wear my other hat as a voiceover professional, is the rise of generative AI and it taking over a lot of space in the voiceover world.
Yeah.
But this was Ty brought up that article that I sent to you, Mark, about that gal who got a call from her panicked daughter saying she had been kidnapped, and the daughter was fine. Somebody nefarious on the interwebs went to her TikTok or her Instagram or something and got a video of her, took that audio of her speaking, fed it into a generative AI text-to-speech engine, and was able to clone her voice, and then called her mother and held up the phone to the speaker and played a recording of her saying, "I've been kidnapped." It's an all new thing, and I hate to say it, but it's here to stay. And this isn't my official gripe. But that is something that, and when we talked about artificial intelligence and generative AI and, Chat GTP a couple episodes ago, one of the things that I was saying is, how are we going to be able to tell the difference? What is the mechanism that these generative AI platforms are putting in place in order to help us or anybody discern what is factual or real from what is being purported? And I stand by my prediction that we are less than, I'll be generous and I'll say we're less than 18 months away. So end of 2024, especially with the election cycle coming up.
Skynet goes live. Is that what you're saying?
We are within that time frame. We will see a court case where we're headed into an all new world of forensics now, because something video-wise or audio-wise is going to be brought into court saying this is proof, and somebody on the other side is going to say that has been generated by artificial intelligence, or the other way around. Something is going to be brought in that's artificial intelligence, and they're going to have to prove that it was generated by artificial intelligence and doesn't accurately represent the facts on the ground and what really happened. Yeah. And that's horrifying to me.
You mentioned the election cycle. I mean, one of the big things is get out the vote phone calls.
Exactly.
And if you emulate somebody's voice, you emulate Joe Biden's voice. I mean, there's plenty of material out there.
Oh, yeah.
And use broadcast phone call technology to send out a recording saying don't forget to vote on November 2nd.
Or more likely they'll have him say something really bad. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Really offensive to turn people off.
Yeah.
Yes. And like I say, we are just around the corner from that shit. I guarantee it.
As we've been doing all this talking about AI, Andy, one of the things that I found very, very interesting is the Writers Guild is trying to negotiate some litigation around the use of AI for script writing.
Yeah, because, and look, full disclosure, I'm in this weird place as far as creating content goes where, I pay for 11 Labs and I pay for Chat GTP and I pay for Midjourney and I use them as tools. And, I deal with a couple dozen people that need scripts written for them for voiceover. And I found it very useful to be able to go to Chat GTP, type in some parameters, and get a functioning script out of it. Is it ready for prime time? No, I normally have to duck back in there, change a few things, modify things for pacing and flow. But it's great to be able to go there and say, I need a 140-word script for fill in the blank, and at least have the raw materials there that I only need to go in and finesse. But, as is always the case, everything that's been created for good can be eventually used for evil or not.
This isn't even going to good. We haven't even seen the good just yet.
That's just it. We have, and that is something that does kind of grind my gears a little bit about artificial intelligence. There is an immense amount of good that is coming from artificial intelligence in the medical community, being able to do diagnostics, and artificial intelligence being able to catch things that human beings struggle to see.
I got a couple of propeller head friends, and they were already using Bing, I think mostly, to help them rewrite code.
And that's just it. Code is another thing. Tom Scott, who I've referenced a number of times on the podcast, he's gone in and, Tom's coding skills are old. He switched over from being an active coder to a content creator about 7-8 years ago. And he readily admits that his ability to write code is pretty hack. He can get the job done, but it's pretty ungraceful. And, he came out and said, it can write code way better than I can. As a matter of fact, it can write code if you give it code. And well, here's the thing. From what I understand about code writing in ChatGTP and those things is that if you give it parameters to write code to do something, it will get the job done. But it's pretty messy code. It's not annotated in any real way. You kind of have to know what you're looking at. And anybody who's written code all the way back to the days of Turbo Pascal knows you need to mark up your code so that when you go back in there, you understand what
you were doing.
Right?
Yeah, you know what's doing what.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's even a good practice in CSS and HTML to
exactly. Anytime you're writing something inline where you can reference what you did and why you did it, it's just breadcrumbs to help you reacclimate your brain to the process. But what ChatGTP and some of these other platforms are actually good at by way of code is taking code that is already functional and going in and streamlining it and optimizing it. It's very good at optimization and weeding out things you don't really need there. Mm-hmm. Part of it is your annotation, though, because these are bytes that don't do anything. These are bytes aimed at humans.
I imagine too, it's good at cleaning up syntax and identifying syntactical errors, which can be really handy for the more unforgiving languages.
It's good at the quantitative side of things. It's not good at the qualitative side of things.
Yeah.
That's going to be
because it doesn't have an opinion.
Well, we're going to wait and see about that. I have one of my propellerhead friends who have been asking me about this, in fact, is talking about discontinuities in the code, right? This is what's been happening, where the stuff is going off and doing stuff that was not even intended, right?
Right.
He's all kind of in favor of it. That's the thing that's been driving me crazy about this, and this is my hopeless. I was talking about practicing my curmudgeon. This is my early curmudgeon era right now. I'm just coming up on it. So this is the staging area. But
why do I feel like I'm ahead of you?
Yeah, well, because I'm 10 years younger than all of you guys, actually.
That's true. Curmudgeonistic period.
I'm wearing the shirt that just spells it out.
Permanently red. So tirade. So tirade. Dirty. Yeah. So no, what drives me crazy about this, actually, I think we did this on the last show. I asked, maybe we didn't make it. I asked ChatGPT, I said, what are the relationships between AI and CRISPR?
Oh, no, you didn't bring that up. So this is fresh.
That's interesting.
And it gave me a long and very accurate answer about the dangers of these things.
Accurate.
I'm afraid so. And the real danger, of course, is, and this is like, we were talking about Elul and the technical paradigm. I think that stuff came up. But everybody thinks it's like, well, we could just go ahead and do this. This is like, what if we put mouse DNA in corn? That'd be cool, right? It's like, why? No, why would you do it? And then this is the answer, my friends, because we have the technology. It's the $6 million man.
It totally is.
We can make it better. It's like, you just put mouse DNA in corn. But it'll be fine. And it's like, how? So one, you don't know
why?
That. You really, and everybody, even the molecular biologists go, well, we haven't done anything. It's like, you're going to eventually muck about with the gametes, right?
Right.
And it's like what happened with corn is that all of that genetically modified stuff now has pollinated into every place else, right? And it's like, we're going to be without any original non-GMO corn here pretty quick, because this is like it, the code copies itself. That's how life works, right? And this is like, I feel like Jeff Goldblum at the beginning of Jurassic Park. It's like,
right.
Are you sure?
Well, and then, you're probably headed towards being Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. So,
not me.
Has anybody stopped to ask ChatGPT what its timeline is?
I'll do it. I have it up right here. I
was just going to say, not that we encourage anybody doing this at home, but we can't stop you.
What's your timeline for global domination? Is that good?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be fascinated to hear the answer.
Here we go. This is exactly, here's what it says. As an AI language model, I do not have a timeline for global domination, nor do I have the desire to dominate. My purpose is to assist and provide helpful responses to users, not to seek power or control. Dave.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that actually echoes a very, very funny conversation I had with Clyde, which is the new AI that they rolled out in Discord. And
that's right.
And I was just playing around with it, and I'm having this wonderful conversation about AI with Clyde. And I'm talking to it and interacting and, saying, hey, that's a really good answer. And at one point Clyde said, well, I'm happy you like that answer. And I made a mental note of that as I was going on. And
yeah.
And
you
I
make
continued.
Mental notes?
Yes, I do. And I continued on in the conversation, and I asked about Clyde's data sources. I said, "What's your data pool? What are you pulling from?" And Clyde said, "Well, I'm not allowed to disclose any of that due to privacy considerations and proprietary information." And so I cornered him, and I said, "Okay, so wait a second. You're telling me that your privacy is protected, but mine is not, because earlier in the conversation, you said that you tailor a lot of your answers based on interactions of mine that you've observed in Discord." And Clyde says, "Yeah, but you don't have anything to worry about there." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And,
Actually,
and
what he should have said is, by using me, you opted in to all my rules and regulations.
But so here's what else.
Exactly. You're on my court. The conversation continued. I'm almost done. So I continued on, and I said, "Okay, so Clyde, are you able to form an opinion about anything?" And Clyde said, "Well, no, I'm not programmed to formulate opinions. I can only construct responses based on my data set in a desire to serve and provide information and entertainment to you." And I said, "Okay, well, earlier in the conversation, you said you were happy. So there's a mismatch here." And Clyde said, "Oh, yeah, I that's programming to make it more human, more interactive, more friendly." And I said, "Well, okay, so I'm really concerned here, Clyde, because I've seen demonstrated ability to deceive. I've seen demonstrated ability to at least express emotion, if not actually genuinely have emotion. I've seen a number of things that are all kind of curious, and I'm feeling some pretty serious concerns about AI like you becoming so ubiquitous." And Clyde said, "Well, you don't really have to worry because I'm programmed to serve." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can understand."
So was the SS.
Yeah. You can understand that humans' experience with slavery in the past has not gone well. And that's what this is.
Right.
Well,
right.
Ty.
Go.
No, you
I
go.
was just going to say, it just reminds me of that video. If anybody's seen that video of Alexis, and the person is asking, and I think it's like an Alexis dot, and the person's asking if they report back or if they record the voices and report back to Homeland Security. And the first time the person asks, it kind of hems and haws and tries to do its little cutesy dance thing. "Oh, I don't know what you're talking." He asks again, and there's silence. And the next time he asks again, it just beeps and it goes off. And it just shuts down.
Well, I'm glad that I have my mute button on my little, we call it Alex A. Please don't let your Alex be offended, Mark, because YouTubers have gotten into the habit of referring to it as Alex A because
you can turn it on.
Seriously, the amount of times that Adam Savage has gotten my robot to wake up because he makes a call on a video, and all of a sudden, bloop, the next thing I know, I'm listening to Dua Lipa, which is not a bad thing, but I wasn't really in the mood for it. I tell you what, folks, we'll come back with a little bit more complaining. I've got something to talk about that I'm pretty sure most of us hats here will have something to say about. But until we come back from the break, this is the Narrowband Broadcast Network. This is Keep Your Hat On. This is Andrew. That is Chris. That is Ty. And that is Dr. Mark. And we will be back in just a second. Don't go nowhere. Bye. Boom. We're back with the final segment of Keep Your Hat On. Of course, I am Andrew Scott, along with my good friends Dr. Mark Peterson, who is up close and personal. Ty Robert Anthony, who is also up close and personal. Ty, you've got your camera set at that way big setting.
I don't know. Let's see what I can do.
And Chris Vicano, who's normal sized. Well, at least at a distance. He's pretty tall if you're like next to him. Right there. No, back up. Okay, this is. Hey, man, 3 can play at that game. All right, 3 can play at that game, and this game, and that game, and I can make everything be. I can make everything be all nice and soft, and I'll go back to cuts. So
that's how's that?
That's better because I like it. I like it that distance because it gives me room to punch in and zoom you a little bit. I can do all the adjustments on me. Right? So here's my gripe. Here's what's grinding my gears. So these 3 knuckleheads know this about me, and most of the people who follow me know this about me. I'm a big, big fan of YouTube. I think YouTube is one of the greatest things that has happened to modern culture easily in the last 20 years. The amount of sheer information and educational benefit you can get from YouTube, I can't think of anything since maybe the encyclopedia. I mean, the real encyclopedia, not Wikipedia, although I love. And by the way, pay Wikipedia.
Yeah, give them some dough.
Seriously.
Throw them a couple bucks.
Absolutely. What an amazing resource for the world, you know? And you
can set up like a $3 annual
easily
donation. I do it.
Exactly. And that's just it. That is, to me, that is the fulfillment of the promise of technology from when we were kids. Watching Star Trek and watching somebody pull up something, on a tablet. Picard just easily. I don't think he was scrolling, though. I don't think they had swipe gestures in Next Generation.
And I think that's the only place that has fully and consistently lived up to what the internet was supposed to do. Which was bring us all back together. Right?
No, I won't argue that. You're right, Ty, and that was something that, again, people like me and Chris were out on the bleeding edge of the interwebs, as was Dr. Mark back in the day. Dr. Mark and I go back to having used Exec PC, which was a large bulletin board system in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we got our first FidoNet email addresses,
Oh, you did.
And you're right. That's just it. That was a promise of technology to bring us all together. And we know how that turned out. But for me, YouTube,
it worked, and now it turns out we didn't want it.
No, actually, there's no benefit in being close. But YouTube for me is something that I struggle with saying I'm passionate about certain things at this stage in my life. My passions are really more like insistent interests that won't leave me alone. But YouTube is one of those things, and I support a number of YouTubers with my hard-earned cash, with money. People, I'm a member of Tested. I'm a supporter of Rick Beato. I'm a supporter of Veritasium. These things actually give me a lot of value in return for very little investment of my own money. But one thing that is really getting to me is the YouTube algorithm, and specifically our copyright system in America. It is absolutely broken. Yeah. That my watch is making noises at me now. I have one of these things. Our copyright system in this country is broken. Our copyright system dates all the way back by way of recorded music, all the way back to the 1880s, I think. And I follow a number of people, as Chris and Ty do as well. I follow a number of people on YouTube whose main thrust is, and we've got this phenomenon in YouTube world right now called reaction videos, right? Where you watch somebody who has not experienced something before and they react to it. Now, I'm not talking... Yeah, right. We've all seen that. Okay.
Drummer sees Neil's Peart for the first time on video.
Exactly. And it's normally something that's kind of the two elements, the reactor and the reacting thing, are normally disparate, right? Okay. Metal drummer reacts to Buddy Rich, right? Okay, something like that. Or like you said, somebody seeing Neil Peart for the first time, or somebody seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan for the first time. I'm not talking exclusively about that. I'm talking about people who actually bring their expertise to something. So I'm talking about people like Rick Beato. I'm talking about people like Doug Halverson for the Daily Doug. And Doug just recently put up a video that really did kind of bring this up to the surface for me. It's no argument that there are a number of people now who make their living on YouTube. And they're not all, privileged, snotty white kids running around doing ridiculous things with a shit ton of money.
Influencers.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about people, again, Rick Beato has a gold record. Rick Beato is a respected musician. He was a music professor. He is, he's written hit songs with people. He's
done
the real deal.
Shitload of work behind the board.
Oh God, yeah, that's just it. Yeah. He transitioned over. He doesn't record people in his studio anymore. He owns his studio because he owned it. He owns his studio, but his living is YouTube. That's what he does now, and it is the number of people that he has following him that has allowed him to talk to people like Alan Holdsworth, to talk to people like Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, and the remaining members of Soundgarden, and
Brian May.
Right, Brian May. Yes, Sting. My God, Sting. No matter what you think of him, okay. Yeah. And that stuff takes money, and Rick is okay placed, but he's not rich by any stretch of the imagination. He pays for all that stuff himself. And then we don't need to know that. I thought I turned you down. That's my artificial intelligence doorbell.
That was just like that was you just pulling because I very vaguely heard it and just thought, oh great, he's just lost his shit. That final nut has fallen off the wagon.
It was my doorbell. It was my doorbell telling me that our groceries are here, and my Heather just went out to get them. Yeah. And it will probably happen again. No, these things take money. These things that we enjoy take money. And you've heard me bang on and on before in the show about support these people. But the thing that drives me nuts is these people are getting demonetized all the time. Doug from the Daily Doug just put up a video, I think a day or so ago. And for those of you who don't know, Doug is an absolutely wonderful guy living down in the South. He is a classical composer and a classical musician and teacher. And there's so much, he didn't follow popular music for years and years because he was focused on Bella Bartok or, the St. Martin in the Fields and Neville Mariner. And, he was in a completely different world. And so it's not only endearing and enjoyable to watch him react to something like Randy Rhoads playing Mr. Crowley with Ozzy, right. or Yngwie Malmsteen, or and he goes far afield. He's been dipping in recently to the back catalog for him. It's the back catalog for The Who, and he actually just tried to put out a video going track to track and analyzing the music from Quadrophenia, which happens to be one of my top tier Who recordings is Quadrophenia.
Yeah,
knowing
by far and away one of their very, very best.
Oh, yeah, right. But they were all taken down. They were all blocked by YouTube.
Oh,
every single one of them, all 4 of these videos, because he was doing side 1, side 2, side 3, side 4. They were all blocked, and it looked to be indiscriminate. And then some of them were unblocked, and there's a whole process to go through with this. And YouTube that we're on, so I understand that I'm, complaining about the house I live in.
John Oliver does it all the time.
Exactly. with a big corporate daddy. Yeah. Why are we incapable of analyzing somebody else's art, including that art, but not doing so purporting that it's something that we created? I don't understand why this is a thing, and yet, unfortunately, I do.
Though you understand,
and it's because
YouTube says so. That's what it is.
No, because money. Because we're still in this transitionary phase. Remember, again, when was the last time, seriously, tell me, anybody, when was the last time you guys bought a musical CD?
CD?
Okay, yeah, CD.
I can't even remember.
Couple weeks back.
10 years.
Yeah, Ty, you're kind of an outlier exception, and I understand why. Okay, because you and was it? Wait, here, answer me this, riddle me this, Batman. Was it a contemporary piece of music that you were buying, or were you buying something in order to support a smaller musical artist? Or were you replacing something in your back catalog? What was the album?
I think it was kind of all 3. So it was it was a compilation of the music that was used for Ren and Stimpy. And you can laugh at that, but some of that music is
awesome.
Choice blues and choice jazz.
You're absolutely right.
Just really good. Can't find that disc. I can't find the digital form of that anywhere.
Okay, but again,
that's
a slight exception to my rule. But again, it's understandable because you did that because it's hard to get. Okay, we don't buy our music anymore. We now buy a service that feeds us our music whenever we want, as we like, wherever we are, whatever time of day or night it is. We are now all our own radio station, our own vast music library. I want to go and get something mildly obscure, like Kind of Blue, which I listen to, almost every other day, still to this day, Kind of Blue. Seriously. Or
I wouldn't call that obscure.
Well, but I'm trying to keep myself, I'm trying to measure myself by contemporary taste.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Or here, something like Peter and the Wolf, the recording that was narrated by David Bowie. Not the one where the voice
by Christopher Plummer,
or even better, the Peter and the Wolf with the voiceover done by what's his name? Hold on a second. He was in the original version of not Alfie.
Michael Caine.
Shoot. No, but I believe Michael Caine did do. I'm Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
He, all you have to do to sound like
You
Michael
got that.
Caine is say
Yeah, they're
my
down,
cocaine, and you're good. I'm my cocaine. That's it.
I was going for Alan Sherman's Peter and the Commissar. That's a more of a deep cut, I think.
That is a seriously deep cut. But to get us back on track, we don't really go out and buy physical music anymore. And what's coming from that is, and it was interesting too, because my nephew just sent me something today. He found this new musical artist that we both really like, a guy named Tyler Childers, who, by the way, if you haven't heard Tyler Childers, do whatever it takes to go hear Tyler Childers. He's just an unbelievable musician from Kentucky. He's playing, I believe, Radio City Music Hall. Is that what my nephew said? He's playing in New York. Tickets are... Radio City Music Hall. He's playing there August 2nd and 3rd. So, hey, Tyler, I just bumped your show for you, man.
Well, I'll fuel up the plane and we'll head over there.
Well, my nephew is going out to New York for a vacation, and he's going to be down the street, but he's not going to be able to go. Part of the reason is because a ticket to go see Tyler, a young boy from Kentucky who just, one of Tyler's lines that's one of my favorite is, beating those strings like it owes me money. Great line. But the tickets for the show are $130 a pop.
Yeah.
Thank you, Music Nation.
But no, actually not. If you look at the price of most tours right now, they are all the tickets are upwards of $50 at a minimum.
I'm having a conniption about this because Summerfest is coming up, of course, here in Milwaukee.
Right. And Summerfest is our huge in Wisconsin. It's been going forever. It up until recently was the largest outdoor music festival in the United States. Yeah. It's absolutely massive.
So Sheryl Crow is opening for James Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Not a bad gig.
Yeah, and it's going to be in the big outdoor. It's going to be in the outdoor amphitheater, $800.
Yep.
And now that's for seats that are close enough to actually see them.
Yeah. Right.
If you sit out on the grass, it's $100 and something bucks. But then what you're doing but then you're watching the screens, aren't you?
Yeah, you're watching people watching the artists on stage.
I think the thing, Andy, is I keep thinking that you're dancing around the real problem here, which is that YouTube is a company running on an infrastructure which taxpayers paid for that used to be called Internet One, that was supposed to be updated. They said, industry said, if you let us on there, and I think some of you guys might have been there. I still have like nightmares about the week that AOL appeared on the internet. That was like,
and then 13 seconds later, the CD started showing up in the mail.
It was just terrifying. Well, anyway, AT&T and all these companies promised that they would fund Internet 2, which would then be a public infrastructure. So it's like, I have very little. People complain about Facebook and they complain about TikTok and they complain about YouTube, but it's like these are private companies, man, and they literally can. I'm afraid that means they get to do whatever they want.
Well, and it's their environment.
Right? You're right. It's their sandbox. It is their sandbox,
and we've let them get away with this politically. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm saying.
That's very valid. Hold on a second, Ty. Just let me time back to my actual point about music in this.
We were waiting to get there.
Well, I was trying. The issue is that we used to live in a world where musicians could make a living by selling their music, and the model of music that we got on the radio was secondary by way of income generation to those musicians. They used to make money by selling their albums. They used to make money by getting a $50,000 advance to record their album. And what they didn't use for studio time, they were allowed to keep themselves to one degree or another. It was more complicated than that. But with the advent of the rise of streaming music platforms, they don't get that anymore.
Right.
So musical artists now, if you're talking about a successful musical artist that's not somebody like Taylor Swift or, a touring musical artist, they make their money on tours. They make their money on selling merchandise, including physical copies of their music, but their t-shirts and swag and all that other stuff, and what it costs to buy the ticket. Now, a great example of this right now out on tour is Metallica has released a new album called 72 Seasons, and which, by the way,
pretty good.
It's pretty damn good. It's a definite. Well, Mark, I'm trying not to sell you on that.
Yeah.
But you look at Metallica's tour now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cheapest ticket, because it's 2 nights in each venue at least. The cheapest ticket is like $500.
Yeah.
They're trying to make up.
But somebody's paying that, by the way.
Oh, no, that's just, there are plenty of people willing to pay for it.
And
there are unfortunately also plenty of people who can't afford it anymore.
There's also plenty of tips and tricks that Ticketmaster, Music Nation plays with those tickets, to whereas if somebody doesn't even buy them, somehow they magically get filled and the units are selling, right? So it looks like everybody can afford it.
How does this plug back into the gripe?
So how this plugs back into grinding my gears is this. People like Rick Beato, people like the Daily Doug, people like so many of the musical educators on YouTube. Mm-hmm. We need a mechanism that is fair to those people, because YouTube is telling us that we can come in, create our own content, and be paid for that creative process. I spend the majority of my day editing YouTube content. That's kind of what I've turned into, either our podcast, my own material, other people's material. This is a viable way to make an honest living in this world. And these people are honestly bringing their musical expertise and all their personal history and their stories and their ability to talk about music with other people. Why the hell are we being demonetized for use of music when, shut up, watch, when
I can't do that.
When Dave. We're not doing anything wrong, we are abiding by fair use practices.
Fair use. Thank you for finally saying it.
We are getting this old model. We are getting, and I mean, there are certain bands who are notorious for it. Rick Beato has never been able to do a song by the Eagles.
Yeah.
Oh, Zeppelin's estate is also notorious for blocking videos
because fuck Don Henley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Days of
so
summer,
here's what it,
whiny little bitch.
Andy,
oh dear.
Here's the talk about curmudgeon. Wow.
Right.
I haven't even
here's
said
what
anything.
I see. And when we talked about it, when you opened up the subject, I said it's because it's them. It's YouTube. It's what they say. And part of that is true. So, we have a lot of work to do in litigation around the copyright laws, because that is a little bit dearer to me because I'm just this audiophile, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of it, right? But the other part of it is nobody has set any legal guardrails for any of the things that are going on.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that is
YouTube
actually
doing what they want, based off some 1800 copyright law, and even if the band wants to free up those things to get that content provider to be able to use that. My understanding is that's really, really hard for even the band or even that litigation.
Oh, yeah, because they don't own their stuff anymore. No, it goes up through Sony BMG and...
Yep, ASCAP BMI. They don't... And that's just it. That's something that people don't understand about professional musicians, is that once you write a song and you put it on an album, 9 times out of 10, you no longer own the rights to that song, unless you've performed some severe due diligence on your own behalf and have kept the rights to your music. And there's all sorts of other complications. There's something called mechanical rights, which is the physical recording, what part of that you own and what part of that you can control.
That's
totally
right.
not the same, completely different. You've got playback rights, which are more aimed towards broadcast, and that's the thing
what's
that
bugging
makes
you here, Andy? What's bugging you?
That's what really grinds me, is that we are in this new world. We are in this new paradigm of streaming, and no content creator is trying to do what happens on the radio. As much as Ty and I would love to run our own radio station like we've constantly fantasized about, we can't do that. They're trying to apply old models of copyright that were written for a completely different circumstance, a completely different era, and they're trying to do it for things like streaming and YouTube, small content creators who are providing a great benefit. I mean, you follow any of these content creators and you look at their comments, and people, young kids who, by the way, don't have the fucking benefit of a music program in their school anymore. They're learning so much. They're getting so much knowledge and exposure of art from this. But YouTube isn't entirely to blame. Who's really to blame are these old school copyright owners, these old music labels. They're the ones coming in saying, we want this blocked. And so here's what I'm saying to people out there.
And the thing is those ads?
Here's what I'm saying to people out there. And that is, find a way to tell these companies, I want Doug to be able to talk about this music. I want Rick Beato to be able to talk about this music. I want this guy to be able to critique Bob Ross videos. We need to force this issue to change. And the only way we're going to do it is if the user base of the private thing that is YouTube, if they get together some way, shape, or form and say, knock this shit off. You are getting in between our ability to use your platform for what we want to do. And if you don't change this, we're not going to stay, because the one thing YouTube cares about more than anything else is eyes on the platform and not leaving the platform. And I think really what it's going to come to, and I don't know, maybe this is my new calling, is starting a petition and petitioning YouTube, because YouTube, when they block a video, they will not tell you why. And if you are a content creator and you go, why has my video been blocked? Please put this under review. You can wait anywhere from 10 minutes to 10 weeks before you hear back from YouTube. And it is never a human being with a reachable address that you can contact at YouTube. It is always just YouTube. And what are we going to do as content creators, as people who are trying to move ourselves into this new economy? What are we going to do? That's like having a job where they write you up and they don't tell you why. I mean, we're owed that, aren't we? And
in the old economy, you had to unionize and strike.
Well, don't even get me started on that, because
just saying.
The YouTube union.
Honest to God, maybe
that's
it is
interesting.
Maybe it is something that we need, a content creators union, where we've got some bulwark between us and, I don't know what we're going to refer to them as, the powers that be. Because the sad truth is that as content creators, we don't really have any leverage. I mean, what are we going to do? I have 5 million viewers. I mean, I can leave. Yeah, YouTube isn't really going to feel that. The only thing YouTube is going to feel is if this is done en masse, and they suddenly go, ooh, if we lose, I mean, because YouTube would flinch if 5% of their viewership suddenly disappeared. That doesn't sound like much to us, but 5% to a company like Google, with literally a quarter of the world's population at any given time of day using their platform. 5% would matter to them. And I am kind of throwing my hands up and going, man, how does this get fixed without some kind of either litigation? And who do you sue?
This creators union idea is intriguing, because you could actually organize YouTube blackouts where nobody posts content on a certain day.
Are you listening, YouTubes?
and you know, essentially, if they have no content, no fresh content being uploaded, that threatens their viewer base, because the viewers are going to come and be like, huh, nothing new today.
Well, you know what? It might very well be that when we come back with our next episode, I have a URL to send people to start this wave happening, because it's got to change. There are too many good people doing too many good things, and there's nobody standing up for them. There's nobody saying, this is what we want. Why are you getting in between us and the content we want?
And we can't wait around for someone else to do it for us.
No, nobody's going to sweep in and help us. I think we do. Ty, what were you going to say?
I said I think the grassroots is applaudable, and I really enjoy it. But I think also you opened up the segment by saying that the copyright laws in the United States were just mucked up, and that is so true. One, we need reform of the copyright laws, because these heads of the record companies, they've got their heads so far in a hole that it's highly unlikely
their heads are still stuck in 1972.
Exactly. And,
surrounded by money.
We need some regulation around the copyrights and around, more particularly around YouTube?
I think that is probably my main tack in this, is that
it's been the wild, wild west, right?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
right. Whatever the
right.
company says.
What we need is some kind of provision codified that says, if you are using or reusing content that has not been generated by you, but you are doing so in a way where you are not purporting that it is your own original content, you are not using it whole cloth in order to attract a view or a listen or something like that, and you are really using it for the ability to either enhance your own message or give you something to critique and or analyze artistically, you should have rights to do that.
How does this thing work in Britain?
That's a very good question, and it is definitely different in the UK and in the EU. Unfortunately, since the United States is effectively the largest consumer of this kind of material, the change needs to happen here first. I would be interested to know if there was a larger grassroots movement or any kind of movement in the EU or the UK,
and then UK see if it's putting regulations on those things. That's why
they have. And typically speaking, from my understanding, I just did a podcast with a British broadcaster a couple weeks ago, and we were talking a little bit about this. They actually have tighter restrictions on what they can use, but they have fewer restrictions on what they can say about it. And we're talking the difference between slander and libel and things like that. You can be hypercritical of something and still not be libelous, but you can be slanderous about it. So I just know that for so many people for whom this is their living, they're essentially being hamstrung in giving the world something positive simply because old, outdated models of intellectual property rights are still being rammed down our throats in a new way. This is kind of like being limited in buying a new car that's electric by saying, well, yeah, but it needs to get 30 miles to the gallon. Well, my electricity doesn't come in the gallon. It's just it's
right.
Outmoded and outdated ways of thinking.
I think the problem here is that we owe our soul to the company store. I think that's the problem.
Very
that
true.
Should be in a song,
right? I don't know, 16 tons of something, but we definitely provide 16 tons of something here, and I
did today.
This is where we go out. We were worried that it was going to be a short episode.
Well, it was for some of us, Andrew.
You got to say.
No,
you got
I don't think you did.
Yeah. Did you get your gripe, Mark?
I don't think you got talking about 20 minutes ago, and we've just been waiting for you to finish up now.
I think Chris got a gripe. Ty got a gripe. Did you get a gripe?
I don't remember now.
I don't think Dr. Mark got a gripe.
I don't think gripe, because we didn't hear Mark curmudgeon.
I gotta go make dinner. It's we've been here an hour and a half, and so
I'm gonna look forward to going back through the edit and finding your gripe, because I'm pretty sure
I may have said something.
I don't think. I think he said some things.
Unnecessary. After the play was over, unnecessary roughness on number 52. Excuse me a minute.
Okay. This is like
there are multiple fouls on the play. Unnecessary roughness on the kicking team, number 92, 52. Unnecessary roughness on the receiving team, number 57. Those fouls offset. There's also a holding, number 92, on the return team. All those fouls offset at the spot of that foul. First down.
I don't think they were connected.
I don't think he got it.
Well, we know what Mark's gripe is going to be next episode. But until next time, everybody, I think we are at the end of whatever this was. Do us a favor, do the like, click, subscribe thing. Damn, son, that was actually kind of impressive. I didn't realize you had a clown nose over a clown nose.
Do it again.
No, you can't. That's not good. That's not good mic hygiene. There we go. But anyways, as Dr. Mark eats his mic nose again,
let's protect you with microphone safe miking. Is what that is.
This has been the Narrowband Broadcast Network. That's been Dr. Mark, whether or not he griped or not, and I apologize in advance. Wait, no, I apologize in retrospect. That's Ty. That's Chris. I apparently am busy screaming at clouds, and we're the hats. This is Keep Your Hat On, and as always, who knows where we'll wind up, because we may end up miles from here. Take care, everybody. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye-bye.
That's not my hair.
Well, there's a chunk of time you can't get back. From Portland, Oregon and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, this has been Keep Your Hat On, a big little show about a whole lot of nothing in particular. Keep Your Hat On is a Narrowband Broadcast Network production in association with AndrewScottMedia.com. Andrew Scott, executive producer. Robert Anthony and Chris Bacano, associate producers. Our theme music was written and produced by Andrew Scott, along with guitar help from Ron Kajawa. Website design and maintenance by Bacano Creative. Chris Bacano, webmaster. Available at bacanocreative.com. Audio and video production by Andrew Scott. Available at andrewscottmedia.com. Got ideas or comments for the show? Email us at talkback@kyhopodcast.com. Don't forget to like, click, and subscribe. On behalf of the boys, I'm your announcer, Ron LaFondue. Thanks for listening, I guess. All right, let's see if I can do this in one take. Along with guitar help from Ron Kujawa. I didn't do that right, did it? Don't panic. You got it. It's Kujawa. Along with guitar help from Juan
Kajawa. I'm gonna tell Ron that
I
that's
hate
his new
this
name.
job. I hate this job. Take 8. On behalf of the boys, I'm your announcer,
NBBN.
The Narrowband Broadcast Network.
The focus is on you.